It's time for love. It's time for your love coach. Let's find out if you're ready for love. Here's your marvelous host, Nikki Lee.
Hello, and welcome to Ready for Love Radio. This is your host and love coach, Nikki Lee. Today, we're going to tackle a topic I haven't talked about in a while, but it is a very fun, juicy topic that I think you're going to enjoy. We're going to talk about sacred sexuality. And let me tell you, I actually found this guest because of an ebook giveaway that I was part of, that I found. And I was looking through, and there was all these free gifts that I was looking at. And I was going through and finding some neat freebies and different things I was looking at. And all of a sudden, I found one, and it was called, y'all are going to like this, Light Your Sexual Fire. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, I have to get that one. And so then I said, I bet you that the person that wrote this does the same kind of stuff that I do, and I bet you if I got in touch with her, she'd come on the show. And sure enough, I sent her an email, and I asked her, and she came on the show. So she's with me today. And her name is Courtney Long. Courtney, it's great to have you with me.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm so happy to be here and so happy that you reached out to me.
I did. I looked at that and I said, Light Your Sexual Fire. What a title. So I said, I have a feeling that she does the kind of work that I do, and I bet you she's got really cool stuff to talk about, and I bet you she'll come on the show. So,
nice. Yes,
so yeah,
I'm so excited to be here.
I had to reach out. I had to see if you do it. Let's tell you what. Let me tell the listeners a little bit more about you. We got lots of cool stuff to talk about. So, Courtney Long is the creator of Mariposa Sacred Sexuality. She's an international speaker, author, and master's level social worker who has been inspiring clients for over 20 years. Through her Mariposa Sacred Sexuality teachings, Courtney empowers women and men to get turned on and create their most joyful, love-filled, abundant lives with the magic of their sexual energy. She's living proof that sexuality matters. After discovering Mariposa's sacred sexuality, she manifested the romantic relationship of her dreams, overcame serious health issues, transformed lifelong body image issues into body confidence, and created a thriving business she loves. So, listeners, are you ready to create the love and connection you secretly crave? And are you ready to light your sexual fire and be turned on for life? Now, who would say no to that? Seriously. I read that and I'm like, hey, who's going to say no? And if you're going to say no, why are you listening to this? But don't turn it off. Don't turn it off, because you're really going to want to hear what we have to say. So, and I'm just going to say, and I think Courtney will agree with me, that we're going to let the listeners have a copy of this at the end of the show, right?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody can have a free copy of this beautiful ebook. Yes. Okay. I thought we were, and I have the link, y'all. So trust me, you're going to get a copy. So. And it's very juicy, right?
It is. Lots of fun. We're going to give you lots of good stuff during the show too. So don't go anywhere. Put the kids to bed real quick, but don't go anywhere. Okay. Because the kids aren't old enough for this. Okay. Now, let's start off. What is sacred sexuality, Courtney? Let's start there.
Yeah, great place to start. Sacred sexuality is honoring that our sexuality is beautiful and amazing and sacred. So there's kind of two different ways to look at it. One way to look at it is our sexuality is sacred. It always was, always has been, but most of us didn't know that because we grew up in a culture that taught us that somehow our sexuality is bad or wrong or dirty or things like this. So it's just looking at it and saying, actually, our sexuality is normal and natural, and it's an important part of who we are. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at sacred sexuality is that it's about being purposeful and intentional with our sexuality. So it's like utilizing our sexual energy, and I'll explain in a minute what our sexual energy is, but it's utilizing our sexual energy for a higher purpose. So, of course, we can go into the bedroom with our lover and we can have great sex and it can feel fantastic. Or we could go into the bedroom with our lover with an intention that we are going to connect with them at a heart level and a soul level. And we're going to just have this amazing experience of connection. That would make sex sacred. Or we could go into a lovemaking session with an intention to improve our health or an intention to call in the perfect career for us. So there's infinite possibilities, but the idea is that, our sexual energy is our life force energy. It's our vitality. And the way I say it is it's like our sexual energy really is our soul's essence flowing through the physical body, which is really an interesting way to look at it. Like if you think, not only is your sexuality not bad, but it's actually so good and so pure that your sexual energy is your soul flowing through your physical body. And so it's this whole idea of, wow, if this is so beautiful and it's really our life force energy, it's our creativity, well, what can we create with our sexual energy? We certainly can create a child, right? You can have sex and make a baby.
True.
You can also create love, and you can create joy, and you can create greater health, and you can create like new opportunities for your life. You can manifest a new home, like all kinds of beautiful things. But it all starts with just really honoring that our sexuality is something very beautiful and very pure, and something that is, it's almost like in a way mysterious. It's this incredible energy that we feel when we make love, and it feels so good, and there's something more to it than just feeling good.
True.
Right? Yeah.
So, I posted on my wall that your life energy and your sexual energy is the same thing. And, anytime I do that, it confuses people. And
really?
I remember, yeah, I know the last time I did a show about this, that confused people. And I like posting that because it gets comments going. And it like I said, it confuses people. But, it's interesting because you can tell people that are, how do I say this? you can tell people that are sexually satisfied because they have a certain look about them, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they've got more, they've got a glow, they've got more confidence, you know, and people that feel good about their sexuality and about themselves and their confidence and that kind of thing, they just have a certain air about them. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And it's not like an in your face kind of thing. You know, it's not like you have to. I'm not saying it's like, you know, some people dress a certain way and they look kind of sleazy. It's not that sort of thing. It's not that at all. It's more a confidence and a certain.
Yeah.
No, it's more confidence. It really is.
It really is. Absolutely. And it's interesting. I can't even tell you how many times this has happened where, like, my lovely partner and I will have a beautiful lovemaking session, and then afterward we go out to eat. And someone walked up to me one time and just said, "Wow, I really love your outfit." You know, and another time this happened, and someone came up to me and said, "Wow, you're beautiful," which was so nice. I was very honored. And I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? I don't think this is about my outfit. I don't think this is about me, you know, them thinking I'm beautiful. I think they're picking up on something. You know, we did this amazing lovemaking, and I think they can sense something. You know, they can feel it even if they don't know. But all their minds know is, oh, I like her outfit, or oh, she's pretty. And it's like, no, there's something deeper going on.
Right. Like I said, it's just a certain. Well, and people pick up on that feeling and that confidence, and you exude a certain air about you, you know, and it's more open, more friendly, more. It's all those sorts of things, and you know it when you see it. You know, when you see it and you feel it when you're around people, and you may not know what it is, but you know it when you see it in people. You know?
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not when you see people and they've got that sleazy look about them. That's not what I'm talking about. It's a whole different sort of thing. Because you know, certain people just kind of have that like put their sexuality in your face kind of. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about at all. But because I don't want people to I don't want their minds to go to that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's something totally different.
Right, you could be wearing sweatpants and a T-shirt and be incredibly sexy because of being confident, right? Because that confidence is what is sexy. It's not a certain look or not a certain way of dressing. And I agree with you, Nikki. And I think, I just think sex is such a confusing topic in our society because we either see it in our face, like people maybe dressing sleazy, or we see a lot of sex in media, you know, since sex sells. It's either like our society is hyper-sexualized and it's in our face in this strange way, or it's completely repressed where it's like not talked about, not spoken of, and it's hidden. And it's like, well, where is that healthy, happy medium where we can talk about sex, like just like you do on these beautiful shows? You know, it's like where we can talk about it as though it's normal and natural, and it's just an everyday part of life that it's the more that we embrace that and we feel comfortable in our bodies and comfortable in our sexuality, then like you're saying, it's like we exude this confidence, and then that confidence impacts how we show up at work and how we show up with our families, and how we show up in our relationship and every aspect of life. So that's what I think is so cool. It's like this is not just about sex and what we're talking about today. It's really about for each of us to feel empowered in who we really are, and have that confidence exuding from us, and then live our most joyful, passionate lives where we're making a difference in the world and we're having a lot of fun doing that.
It was funny. I was recording a show one day, and it was one of those really, really good, empowering kind of. I don't even remember the topic right now, but it was a really great show about empowering women, and I felt great about the topic, and I had to go to a chemo session. I mean, not a chemo session afterwards, which, I mean, okay, you don't dress up for a chemo session. You just don't, right? My hair looked like crap. I was in sweats and a T-shirt, So, I mean, I looked bad. I really did. But I felt great after recording the show and getting it all done, and I walked in, and they said, "You look really great." I'm sitting there going, "You need glasses," But I felt great from the show, right? And it's like, yeah, just let's get this done, But like I said, and I was talking to him about the show I just recorded and that kind of thing. So it was the leftover energy from the show and talking about that because I felt so good about it. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, you still need glasses, but whatever, But it's that kind of thing, It's the energy from feeling so good about what I was doing and what I was sharing and that kind of stuff, because it certainly was not the outfit. Trust me on that one.
Oh my gosh! Well, you're beautiful. So even in sweatpants, you're still beautiful. But I know what you're saying though. It's like it was the energy from the show.
Yeah, but like I said, that was just like I said. You don't dress up for chemo. Trust me. But it's just. I just thought that was a neat example of right. Whatever. But
yeah, it's like what makes me think of is like this openness. It's like when we're
right.
comfortable in our own skin and comfortable in our sexuality, it's like we're open. We have an open heart, an open mind, and it's like an openness to life, because life is an adventure. And I feel like so many people walk around afraid. I think most of us were taught just how to be afraid of life and afraid of everything, afraid of the economy, afraid of our health, afraid of so many problems that could happen. But it's like, well, what if we approach life with this thrill of adventure and this openness and hunger to dive in to the adventure?
Yes.
And it's like, that's what it takes to light our sexual fire. It's like leaning into life.
Yes. Well, I was talking about, there was a whole lot of negativity in my life for a long time, and I finally literally cut all of that out, and got rid of all of those negative influences, and it was like this huge weight was lifted off, and it was amazing the difference getting all of that out, and just. It was like getting rid of a weight, and so many things opened up for me, and it was the judgment was. I finally got rid of all the judgment that I was heaping on myself and judgment other people were heaping on, and then I was able to actually discover this a couple weeks ago, and then able to be curious about so many things, And it's amazing when you can eliminate the judgment and move to curiosity. And like I said, we just covered this a couple weeks ago. It's amazing the difference that makes in life. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Fantastic what that'll do for you.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so inspiring. Even just to realize that we have a choice to let go of all that negativity. I mean, I just find it really inspiring how you did that.
Yeah, it is, like I said, it just, because I asked my guest a couple weeks ago how he would compare judgment and curiosity for me, and wow, that led to some incredible stuff that I hadn't looked at it that way before, but fantastic conversation. But
nice.
Very neat conversation. Tell us, what is Mariposa Sacred Sexuality? And that is not as easy to say as you might think.
That's true. It's not easy to say. So Mariposa Sacred Sexuality is this special form of sacred sexuality that I've created over time from basically my own personal study of different forms of sacred sexuality, and then my 20 years of supporting clients and teaching, and then also from a lot of intuitive guidance. So it's like this whole beautiful set of teachings, and the whole idea is that Mariposa is the Spanish word for butterfly. And butterflies, so butterflies, they represent transformation because of the whole journey, right, from the caterpillar to the chrysalis into the beautiful butterfly. And butterflies also represent beauty and freedom. And so the whole idea is that our sexuality is about more than sex, even though sex is important. But it's like when we're fully lighting our sexual fire, that creates transformation in our life. It's like we get to transform into our most magical, joyful version of ourselves, and we get to be who we were really born to be. And a lot of people don't realize that our sexual energy is such an important part of who we are. And I know a lot of people who will say, well, I don't have time for sex, I've got kids, or I'm working too much, I don't have time for that. And so the whole idea is, wait a minute, we've got to go back to basics. And when we go back to basics, that involves getting so in touch with our own sexuality, even if we don't have a partner, right? Because we can move our sexual energy, we can practice sacred sexuality on our own, solo, through our own masturbation, our own self-pleasure time. And so the whole idea of like Mariposa Sacred Sexuality is it's about you getting to be your most magical, joyful self with the magic of your sexual energy and really transforming into who you're meant to be and transforming your life into like the most joyful, passionate life that you can possibly have.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know there was a secret meaning to Mariposa. See, that's very good.
Yeah, it's interesting. And what I find really interesting about it too is when I was like 15 years old, I was just really for some reason obsessed with that word mariposa. I don't know why. I mean, I always loved butterflies, and I was studying Spanish at the time, but that word always really stood out to me. And so it's just interesting that later on when I created this I called it Mariposa, and it's like it just had meaning to me for many, many years, and now I know why.
Very good. See there? Interesting. See, in about 15 is when I came up with Nikki Lee. So see, we all go back to our roots here, huh?
Wow, very interesting. Yeah.
And it was magical the first time I got to sign that on a contract.
Wow.
Interesting. So, okay. Now, we talked about lighting our sexual fire. So how do we know if our sexual fire is burning brightly?
Oh, yeah, I love that question.
We would want it to. I mean, it sounds awesome. So how do we know if it is?
Yes, great question. One way to know if it's burning brightly is if you feel turned on for life. So, of course, we can be turned on sexually, right, when we are ready to make love and we're feeling that sexual desire building in us. So it's taking that same feeling and translating it to life. It's like, do you feel turned on for life? And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be filled with sexual desire for life, but it's this feeling of like you are so excited for life and full of vitality. And I keep mentioning the word joy in our conversation. That just keeps coming up right now. It's like, do you feel overflowing with joy in your life? And I don't know about you, Nikki, but like for me, a big part of my story in the past was I'm a pretty happy person. Like that's my personality. I'm happy. But there was a big time in my life when I was smiling on the outside but not on the inside. where like I seemed happy, but really inside I wasn't very happy and I wasn't fulfilled and I felt sad and lonely and stressed and all kinds of things. And anyway, so like to think about, is your sexual fire lit and burning brightly? A good way to know is are you joyful? And in general, like, do you really feel fulfilled from deep within? That sense of life is beautiful, and yeah, we've all got challenges. I'm not talking about like joyful where you don't have problems, because we're going to always have problems and challenges.
You're right to say, is there such a thing?
Yeah. Right, yeah, exactly. I think we're not alive if we're not having problems or challenges, then yeah, we're probably not really living. But anyway, so it's this feeling of, well, you can handle the problems with joy, and you can like get through your day, and you still can feel energized at the end of the day. And when your sexual fire is burning brightly, really that means your life force energy is turned on, and it's almost like it doesn't have to be at full blast, but it's turned on, meaning it's energizing you, and you're feeling energized as you move through the day. And when you come home from work, or if you're working from home, you get done with work, you feel good. You feel like you can, you've got more energy in you to do more, or to spend time with your partner or your kids, or on your own self-care. So just thinking, like, do you feel energized each day, and do you end the day feeling pretty energized, even though you're ready for bed? But that feeling of like total fulfillment is a part of it too, and feeling like you're totally creative. So do you feel creative, as though any moment you might need a creative idea and you've got it right there at your fingertips? That's another way to know if your sexual fire is burning brightly, since it's our creative life force energy, that when our sexual fire is burning brightly, we've got all this creativity flowing through us. And that's exciting.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And then, of course, a simple way to look at it is like, do you feel fulfilled sexually? That's a good way to know if your sexual fire is burning brightly. Yeah. Do you feel fulfilled sexually, whether you're single or if you're in relationship? And there's different frequencies for all of us of what our bodies thrive at, like how often our bodies want to have sex. And for some people, that's once a week. For some people, it's every day. and so there's no particular number of times a week that you need to be having sex in order to have your sexual fire burning brightly. But it's just a sense of like, are you regularly expressing your sexuality through making love to your partner, or if you're single, through your own self-pleasure? Like, are you expressing your sexuality and feeling satisfied and rejuvenated because of that?
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I noticed too that when you're going through various health issues too, that can vary drastically. Because I know when, like, going through cancer, going through like heart surgery and kind of things, it's amazing how different you can feel from how you do normally, and because the body's going through so much, and what you need and how you need it and all that kind of thing can vary greatly. And like I said, what you need to feel complete and satisfied and that kind of thing just is so different. Well, and even what you're going through can make a difference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so true, and it's so interesting that you brought that up, because also there's so many health benefits to making love, and that's actually just literally to regular sex, let alone if you take your sex and make it sacred, right? And then add that extra layer of love and joy to it. But just regular sex itself has all these health benefits of boosting our immune system and decreasing anxiety and decreasing stress, and has some long-term preventative health benefits too. It's really interesting. And I went through a health struggle for 5 years, and it was a lot of autoimmune kind of things and nothing that the doctors could ever pinpoint. You know, I never got like this big important diagnosis, but I was miserable for 5 years and I didn't have my normal energy. But I always thought it was interesting because when I would either self-pleasure or make love to my partner, I felt so much better, and so much better. No matter how tired I was like, I know I've got to do this. I know I've got to move my sexual energy because I know it's going to help improve my health. And it did, and it had like a huge impact on me overall, feeling better and better to the point that I was able to gain my health back and feel like myself again. Because I relate to what you said. It's like when I didn't feel well, I didn't feel like myself. It was a very strange time. Yeah. Yeah.
I got an idea while I was going through chemo and radiation. I got an idea for a program I'd love to do for people going through cancer and recovering, and even just for getting back to being closer and feeling more connected with themselves. Because I felt literally disconnected from myself at one point. And like I wasn't even connected to my own body, which was really bizarre. And then, you know, getting reconnected with yourself, and then getting reconnected with your partner, because it was just a really bizarre feeling, and something I wanted to work on putting together.
Yeah,
I might talk to you about that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk with you about it for sure. Yeah, and it's interesting you brought that up because I feel like that makes sense. Like when you're going through the cancer treatment and just the whole journey of not feeling well, it's like your life force energy was probably pretty low at that time, I'm guessing. And I think it's like you experienced, it sounds like a very, very poignant, like very obvious experience of that. But it's like I think so many people walk around in life feeling disconnected from themselves and not even knowing it.
Right.
And that's part of why I'm so lit up by the whole topic of sexuality, because when we get comfortable with our sexuality, we get comfortable with our bodies, and that means we actually get to feel more connected to ourselves than we've ever felt in our life. And when we're connected to ourselves, that's when we get to thrive. Like that's when our health improves, and that's when we have a more positive outlook on life. And that's when we maybe want to make love to our partner. And it's like it's for the people who maybe are listening who have a partner who don't necessarily feel like making love to their partner. It's probably not about your partner. It's you know, maybe take a look within and be like, are you feeling turned on and lit up? And are you feeling confident and passionate within yourself? And it's like, if you are, then you'll probably feel like making love to your partner.
True. Well, you know, I hadn't thought about it, but that's interesting about, that's a couple interesting points. You know, and I have to think about that. But, you know, and then actually there's like 5 things you just said that just triggered other thoughts that are going off in other directions. But,
I love it.
But well, and it's funny. One of the instructions when I finished the last, I had to do like high dose radiation with my very last radiation that I went through, very last treatments, and one of the instructions was to have sex 3 times a week. I'm like, man, I know people that would just have a fit if they got those kind of instructions. Some would be really happy, some would be very upset. But you know.
But wow, that's cool. You got those instructions.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Wow.
Oh, that's funny. But fascinating. You had to wait a week after the last treatment, and then that was the instructions. But,
wow.
But you know, it's interesting though. The people. I mean, I was very in tune with it just because of you know, all the training and being more in tune with my body. But imagine the people that aren't as in tune with their body and may never realize, even without the health issues, that they're disconnected from their body, you know?
Yes.
that are going through just everyday life and not realize they aren't connected with their body. And so the same thing I'm thinking about for cancer patients could be very beneficial for other people too. And we need to talk about that after this. Okay.
Good absolutely. Plan. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I actually had a navigator that actually was there to kind of work with me and help me to kind of get through the treatment and any questions I had, she was there to help me with it and that kind of thing. And I ran the idea past her and she just loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think it's fantastic, and there's all kinds of people going through, you know, the treatments that could benefit from it. So I will be back in touch. So.
Nice. I love it. Well, if you think about it, I think so many of us are used to using our minds and leading our lives from our minds. And now that we're in the age of information, and many of us have our cell phones in our hands a lot of the day, or we're at our computers or laptops or tablets or whatever. And I feel like there's just such a focus right now on external information and reading things and connecting with people online. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. The key is to balance it with also connecting with ourselves, and like you said, tuning into our own body and noticing what's happening in it. And for a lot of people, it's like even the topic of desire is such a foreign topic, because most of us, we do what's expected of us, or especially, you know, for those living a more traditional life, it's like, you know, you get the job, you buy the house, you find your partner, you get maybe a dog or a cat, and you're like living this life that society has told you is the right way to go. And then you might wake up one day and realize how incredibly unhappy you are. And you know, it's like, and it's not like you've done anything wrong. You've done all the right things. It's just that sense of, well, what's happening inside of you? What's your soul guiding you to? And what is your body needing? Right? And it's like we have desires, and those desires are important to listen to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really believe, like, our desires, even our sexual desires, that our desires are something greater calling us to the path of our purpose. So it's like our desires are almost like these whispers from our soul that are saying, hey, listen to this desire, whether it's a desire for a vacation, or whether it's a desire for making love, or whether it's a desire for food or nourishment. It's like our soul speaks to us through these desires, and when we listen to our desires, then and we honor them, then that is part of the way that we, first of all, light our sexual fire. It's also just part of the way that we wake up from this dream of life that we thought it had to be, and when we get to really create life on our own terms, and that creates, like, true fulfillment.
A whisper from our soul. I like that. Ooh, I like that very much, actually.
Awesome.
So while we're talking about desire, why is pleasure so important? I can think of a lot of reasons, but what's your reason why it's so important?
Yeah. Well, my reason why pleasure is so important is pleasure lights us up. When we experience pleasure, whether it's like, you know, the touch of a hand, or the pleasure of a delicious ice cream sundae, or sexual pleasure, just that sense of pleasure, it really lights us up, and it energizes us, and it fills our pleasure tank. And I call it our pleasure tank, and it's like, if you think that you have this tank within you that you can fill with pleasure and great experiences and wonderful sensations, that you fill up your pleasure tank, and when you do that, you're more energized, kind of like charging your batteries, and then and then you're healthy and happy and full of vitality. And then when you're working or giving or helping others, then you do it from this overflowing tank of pleasure, kind of like an overflowing cup. But especially for those of us, right, who love to give and help others, then we must replenish ourselves. And pleasure is one of the best ways to do that.
So why do you think that so many people resist pleasure?
Yeah, there's so many reasons, and one of the reasons is because most of us grew up in a society that valued hard work and sacrifice and struggle over pleasure. And even just our whole work structure is, you work really hard for the majority of your life, and then once you're done working really hard, then you get to retire. And and it's kind of like, and for, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people who like are always busy, and this myself too. It's like we have this long to-do list that we get through in each day, and we're like, if I get done with my to-do list, then I'll relax, then I'll have pleasure. But it's like, no, because the to-do list never ends, so there's just never time for pleasure.
Somebody's going to throw this back in my face. I know he is. Okay. Yeah, so what I say is, like, we must make time for pleasure now, not once we retire, not once our to-do list is complete, not once we've done X, Y, or Z, but we've got to prioritize pleasure on a daily basis, because it's how we keep our batteries charged, and it's how we light up, and it's like what fills us with joy and with vitality. And pleasure can be everyday pleasure, such as enjoying a great cup of coffee or tea, just like simple things that we do every day, but really enjoying them, like savoring the flavor of the coffee or tea, or paying attention while we drink it, and enjoying the tastes and the temperatures and all those things. So everyday pleasure, things like being outside in nature, spending time with our family or friends or pets, just everyday pleasures. Then there's sensual pleasure, which is when we enjoy our senses. Yes, I love this one. This is things like, could be dancing. Oh, go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead. That's cool. I just, you distracted me when you said sensual pleasures. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. I love it. So sensual pleasure could be something like dancing, enjoying the feelings in your body when you're dancing. It could be receiving a massage, or giving a massage even can be very pleasurable too. So sensual pleasure is anything that gets us in our senses, in our bodies, with those 5 senses of, let's see, sometimes I forget one of them, but let's see, it's sight, touch, taste, hearing, and sound. So enjoying all of those senses, and that helps us feel more alive and more full of vitality. So sensual pleasure. And then there's also sexual pleasure, which I think many of us know what that one is. It's when we feel total pleasure from making love or self-pleasuring, and that pleasure is just, it's incredible. It's incredibly rejuvenating. So those are the 3 kinds of pleasure: everyday pleasure, sensual pleasure, and sexual pleasure. And we need all 3 of those consistently to be filling our pleasure tank. Constantly. That was a strong word. You caught that.
We're going to get along just
fine. Regularly.
Consistently, constantly. Yeah, either one will be fine. Okay.
Yeah. Pleasure. Yeah. But I think a lot of us, too, just even from a religious upbringing, that there's a lot of religious teachings that teach that somehow pleasure is wrong, or, that we're not worthy of it. And it's like, well, pleasure is so natural. And even if you think about the female body, the clitoris it's the only organ in the body that its entire purpose is pleasure. There's no functional purpose to the clitoris. So that means our bodies are designed to experience pleasure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, now you have something, not to dismiss what you just said in any way whatsoever. Okay, you have something called a 4-step glow system. What is that?
The 4-step glow system is the 4 steps that help you to light your sexual fire and get your orgasmic glow on so that you can create the love and connection that you crave. And orgasmic glow is what I call what you were talking about earlier, that thing that people have when they're exuding their confidence, like when they're comfortable in their sexuality. It's like they glow. They've got this orgasmic glow about them, almost like the afterglow of after you make love. But it's like this beautiful inner glow. Yeah, so the 4-step glow system helps you to get that glow.
All right. Do you want to tell us about those steps?
Yeah, sure. So glow step number well, actually, we already talked about the pre-step before the glow system, which is prioritize pleasure. So I say that prioritizing pleasure is like the foreplay before the glow system.
Okay. All right.
And so glow step number 1 is the G in glow. And the G in glow stands for 2 things. The first thing is grounding into our bodies and the sacredness of our bodies. And it's a sense of like really being present in our bodies and loving our bodies, feeling confident in our bodies, and feeling like our bodies are happy, hot, and sizzling. So the sense of, we're each beautiful in our own unique way, that beauty doesn't come in a specific look or shape or size. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. And when we really realize that, we can feel confident and feel beautiful in our bodies and just feel that sense of connection to our body, like we were talking about, of like really noticing what's happening in your own body.
Right.
And seeing your body as sacred. Yeah, so that's the first part of it, is just awakening the body and being present in the body. And then the second part of that first glow step is the G stands for gorgeous genitals. And really honoring that our genitals are sacred, and that our genitals come in all shapes and sizes and colors and textures and looks. But it's like each person has their own unique, beautiful, gorgeous genitals. And when we feel good about our genitals, we ultimately feel good about ourselves.
Okay,
so
got that.
That's a little about glow step number 1, and also in the free gift that the listeners will receive, that the book outlines these different glow steps, so you can read more about them in there. But I'm giving you a brief overview. So glow step number 2 is the L in glow, and the L stands for love. And when we talk about sacred sexuality, love is an important part of that. It's like our heart is an important part, not just our genitals, but our heart and our love and bringing that soulfulness to sex. And so in the glow step 2, we basically melt down and break down heart walls, like those times in our lives when we've experienced hurt and heartache. For many people, what happens is when we go through a breakup, or when we lose a loved one, or all of these moments of hurt, we start to develop this energetic wall around our heart, where we start almost like blocking out love. Like, I've been hurt before. I don't want to be hurt again, so I'm going to build up a wall. And the interesting thing about these heart walls is they're often invisible, and we don't even know that they're there. And the way that I found that I had a heart wall was in a surprising way. I was with my current partner, and I was starting to sabotage the relationship. And I would blame him for things and kind of easily point my finger at him in all the ways he was wrong. And I realized that I wasn't doing a good job of letting love in. Instead, I was finding fault only because I was scared to be vulnerable enough to be loved.
True.
And so I had to really look at myself and say, oh my gosh, this isn't about him and him being wrong. This is about me and me feeling safe enough to be loved, and me feeling good enough and lovable and letting myself be loved. So I did a lot of work around breaking down this heart wall at an energetic level, but also a deep subconscious level, because most of us have all these old, outdated subconscious beliefs that we're walking around with that aren't serving us, like a belief of, if I open my heart, I'll be hurt. Or like depending on what you learned in childhood from your parents, it's like looking at your parents' relationship and what impressions you got that, like for me, my mom was often criticizing my dad. So I just kind of thought, that's the way love has to be. And, I've had to work really hard to break that pattern in myself, to just like really honor my partner and see all of the good and beauty in him. And sometimes we develop subconscious beliefs based on just the things that happen in early childhood, because most of our subconscious beliefs are formed from the time we're in our mother's womb till age 7. And so it's like if we perceived that our parents weren't always there for us or didn't love us, we might have made that a belief about ourselves, like somehow we're not good enough or we're not worthy of love. And a lot of that times that stays with us even in adult years if we haven't done anything to heal it. So these heart walls are kind of tricky because, some of my clients come and they know, they're like, I know I've got a heart wall. I know I'm blocking love, but a lot of people just don't even know it.
Right.
And we're walking around kind of blocking out love. Yeah. Yeah. Have you noticed that too, Nikki?
Yeah, I have.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And the good news is that we can heal these heart walls. We can open our hearts and we can let love in. And it starts with us doing that deep healing and healing the past, healing past hurts. And it doesn't have to be crazy painful to do this, because I really believe healing can be joyful and can be fun. And it's not fun every moment by any means, but we can bring a lightness to it all. So we can heal these heart walls. And the important part in healing the heart walls is then to connect the heart to the sacred genitals and to get that energy flowing between those two areas so that your love energy can flow, your sexual energy can flow, and you can feel love. Because I believe that we each have this deep reservoir of love within our bodies, and that's what self-love is. Self-love isn't about doing affirmations, or it's not necessarily about self-care, but self-love is really about feeling this deep reservoir of love that is already within your body, feeling that and being aware of it and letting it flow. So glow step number 2 is all about the love. As you can tell, like lots of deep, deep healing. And that's what it takes to get that beautiful orgasmic glow on. So you want me to keep going?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so glow step number 3 is the O in glow, and that stands for orgasmic. The O in glow stands for orgasmic. And that is all about opening the flow of our sacred sexual energy. It's about clearing the old shame that many of us have had around sex, like that we've thought somehow that it's bad or dirty or wrong. And it's about feeling good about our bodies and our sexuality, and like claiming that we have a birthright to pleasure and we have a birthright to feel alive and empowered with our sexuality. So that's a little about glow step 3. And then glow step number 4 is really fun. It's when we kind of bring it all together. And glow step 4, the W in glow, stands for wonderment. And
Ooh.
Wonderment, yeah, it's such a fun word. It's not like a very common word. I don't hear it very often. But wonderment means delight or beautiful, intense joy, in the sense of like when we have a sense of wonder for life, a sense of awe, and where that curiosity that you were talking about. And so in the wonderment step, this is when we allow ourselves to receive and to get into our feminine energy, because for those of us who are givers, that's very masculine energy to be giving and doing and taking action. but it's really important to balance that with rest and relaxation and receiving and enjoying life, enjoying pleasure. So in that step, we really balance out the masculine and the feminine energy. And I find most people, regardless of gender, most people are used to being more in their masculine energy than in their feminine energy. So we kind of like get in touch with what is the feminine energy and how can that help improve our lives too. And then we also look at, like I was talking about at the beginning, how our sexual energy is creative life force energy. So in glow step number 4, we actually purposefully create what we want in our lives with the help of our sexual energy.
Very cool. I like that. All right. And they can learn even more about all this in their free gift.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And there's also, we were talking about, how do you know if your sexual fire is burning brightly? And there is a 10-question quiz in the book, which is really fun, so that you can measure how bright is your sexual fire burning.
Awesome. So how can they get their gift? Now that they've stuck around, how can they get their gift?
Yes, so they can go to CourtneyFayLong.com and I'll spell that out, /ebook. So it's Courtney, COURTNEY, Faye, FAE, and then my last name, Long, LONG, CourtneyFayLong.com /ebook. And then you can download, just enter your name and email and download the free gift. And I definitely encourage you to read it. I definitely encourage you to read it, because I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'll download things and I'll be like, oh, I'll look at that later. And then the later never comes. It ends up in a pile, and I notice it 5 years later. So I really encourage the listeners to download it. Ideally, if you can, print it out, and then make time to read it. Literally, like in the next couple of days, make time to read it. You'll enjoy it, and I know you'll get a lot out of it. People tell me all the time that they had a lot of insights and ahas when they read it. So I think it's very valuable, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Always nice when people have aha moments when they read your stuff, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
I love when people do that. Or when they read a sales page, and it gets to the end and they like get it. I love when that happens.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I had a woman actually track me down and found my phone number, and she called me one day and for my Love, Accept, and Respect Yourself program, and she got it. She got exactly what I wanted people to get, and I was just, it was just wonderful. I love when that happens.
Awesome. Nice. I love that.
Yes. It was just like, I love when people just get what I'm trying to say. It's so awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Nothing cooler when you're a writer than when somebody just gets what you're saying. It's like success.
Yes, that feeling of aliveness, like I'm on purpose. I'm living my purpose.
Exactly. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. I hope that the listeners did as well, and I hope that they will all go and download your ebook. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy the message, and I hope that they thoroughly enjoyed our conversation as well. And we'll definitely have to find something else to talk about again.
I'm sure we will. I've enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much for having me, Nikki, and thank you everybody for listening. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely.
So if you go to my website, go to www.readyforloveradio.com/sexual fire, and you'll find the replay and all of Courtney's links and the link to get your free ebook. So I'll definitely have you back. And listeners,
awesome.
I'll be with you next time on Ready for Love Radio.